of sound good if I kept the Irish accent. So he did. It did sound good. I mean, it just kind of felt good. So that was an unexpected, happy, I don't know, not an accident, but a decision, just because of who came in and who was kind of, Gabriel was great. So that's the answer. There is no answer. It's all like, you get presented with all these circumstances and all these discoveries and all these familiar things in the case of Totoro, and that's what the movie ends up being.
Then we move on to Barden Fink, which is a film that saw you win the Palme d'Or. It's a film that is about a writer, that is about the creative process. It's a film that makes a joke that he's writing a film about wrestling, an orphan, and a romance, and the movie is about wrestling, an orphan, and a romance in many ways. In that film, there's an emphasis on the writer is king, but in your experience of films, it's often said that a film is written 3 times: on the script stage, on the set, and afterwards in the editing. Is that something you believe in your philosophy?
Kind of and kind of not. I would put it differently. I'd say you're just making the movie. And the titles are all totally artificial. When we're writing the movie, kind of as me and Trish suggested, when you're writing the movie, you're making decisions that are kind of visual and kind of editorial, and you only sort out those titles, after the fact. They have nothing to do with how you actually made the movie, which was just thinking about, okay, what would we do here, supposing we're making a good movie? Other people obviously work very differently. They are either writers or directors or editors, but and again, it's just kind of an extension of what me and Joel did as kids. You're just, making the movie, and there weren't any titles then, and there still aren't any meaningful ones. I mean, in terms of work function, we're all just, the same is the case with the last movie me and Trish did together, the narrative movie, not the documentary, which is going to come out in a month. We wrote it together. We were, in effect, although not entitled, directed it together and cut it together. It's just, you're working on the movie, you're doing the story.
Having had experience outside of your movies, which you never have, I would say that yes, there are 3 different stages, and it's very different on Ethan and Joel's movies because very little changes from, I would say, script stage through the cutting stage. Like, it remains almost intact. Like, things don't move around very much. You're not really changing the storytelling so much on any of the movies that I've worked on with you. I think maybe we flipped 2 scenes in the last movie that we made, but pretty much what's on the page is what ends up on the screen. On other films that aren't theirs, you play around a little bit more. If something's not working, you start restructuring the scenes, or you end up cutting a lot out, or you do have a little more kind of script writing in the editing process than on your movies.
And that's also apparent. I mean, obviously, when you move further on and you're editing with Roderick Jane, who is synonym for the brothers, it shows their capacity for working on all elements. But it's very fascinating what you're saying, that it's not changed so much. But what are the discussions that you're having in the editing room? And has there ever been moments, there must be moments on every film, where you're like, maybe this isn't working as you expected?
On their movies?
Yeah. Or
they're total control freaks. No, I'm kidding.
But sort of not. We have really heated arguments, probably in the editing room, certainly more in the editing room than writing or on the set, about think we were insane. The disagreements are about things that most people wouldn't really notice. You get to really find points when you're cutting the movie. It seems like, the finer it gets, the more vehemently you can disagree with each other about what's better and what's worse.
Well, also because it's the final stage, so you're really making the final decisions about what's going to be on the screen. Like it's like, oh, okay, this is the last time we're going to be able to make a choice about this. But there were times when, certainly on the last movie that we made together, I would think something was working and Nathan wouldn't think it was working, or vice versa, and then you're kind of, making a case. This is why this is working, or here, let me cut it a different way, and you can see it works better.
From the editor's perspective, is it more difficult when you have two different heads as directors, giving you their own separate opinions? I know often people treat the Coen brothers as one, but there must be times where they're often two.
They almost always agreed. I mean, when I was cutting with them, and it was a process where we would cut different scenes and then we would put them all together and then sit in a room together, and very rarely were there disagreements. I mean, we fought much more when it was just the two of us than, when it was Joel and Ethan.
Yeah, it's funny, the domestic thing, you can bicker, but if there are three people, it's like, company is there, so you don't bicker.
You have to be a grown.
What did it mean when you won the Palme d'Or? Was that something you aspire to when you enter a competition like Cannes? What was that experience for you?
Well, there are two things. There are always two things. There's, like I say, when everyone likes what you've done, it's a little gross. But I must say, it was hugely helpful to have, just in terms of what the experience was, if that's what you're asking. It's hugely helpful that John Turturro was there, because he was just laughing the whole time. And I kind of took him as my role model. I thought, okay, you can just enjoy it. It's all a little silly, but okay, yeah, it's good, silly fun. I kind of learned from it. I grew from that experience. It was kind of fun, great. Yeah.
But was it something you aspired to?
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Do prizes matter to you? Or does the
Well,
audience
now
react?
like I say, Colleen